curved 144Hz AMOLED display. Premium sound by JBL, runs any game on high graphics, and comes loaded with tons of useful features. Sounds like I'm talking about a high-end smartphone, right? Not at all. This is the new Infinix Note 5 OS 5G. A phone priced around $250, but I can assure you it's 100% worth it. Stick around to watch the full video. Let's start with the unboxing. This is the box where you receive your Infinix Note 5 OS 5G, plus Turbo Max HD 4K 100% real, no fake. We open it, and inside we find another box. Here we have the SIM tray ejector tool, a card that gives you premium, access to repair services for your phone, some manuals, and finally, a phone case. In this case, it's red because I have the red version of the phone. It has a leather-like finish, but of course, it's not real leather. Looks pretty good. Over here we have the phone, we take it out, and underneath we find the 4.5W fast charging adapter. And lastly, in this small box, the USB-C cable. Now let's look at the phone itself. We take off the wrapping, and here it is. I think it has a very nice design and feels quite premium. It's slim, weighs about 180 grams, feels solid, and the finish is plastic, but it's high quality plastic. I have the red version, which as you can see is very eye-catching, but it also comes in 2 other colors. On the front, we have the 30-megapixel selfie camera. As you can see, it already comes with a pre-installed screen protector, which is a nice touch. On the top, we find one of the 2 speakers and the JBL branding. On the right side, we only have the volume buttons and the power button. At the bottom, there's the second speaker, the USB-C port, and the SIM tray, which supports 2 nano SIMs. On the left side, there's absolutely nothing. On the back, we have the camera module. 3 of the black squares are cameras, and 1 is the infrared sensor that lets you control devices like a remote. For example, I used it to set up the AC in my room, and it worked perfectly. And also with the TV IT, worked perfectly too. And right where the infrared sensor is, there's also an LED for notifications. In this case, it's only white, but it looks really nice, and you can turn it on or off. As is more than obvious, up front we have the screen, and that's where I want to start. It's a 6.78-inch 3D AMOLED display with curved edges, full HD plus resolution, and runs at 144 Hz. You can set the screen refresh rate to 60, 144, or automatic. In case you want to save battery, it's also protected with Gorilla Glass 5, and that's something to appreciate. It's surprising that a phone at this price and mid-range at that includes Gorilla Glass. The screen looks really good. With a high brightness level of 550 nits, color reproduction is excellent. There's no light bleeding or anything odd, and it even has a low blue light certification. Honestly, it's an outstanding screen. No matter what kind of content you're watching, it'll look amazing. And to top it off, let's not forget that the screen is complemented by stereo sound tuned by JBL, and the audio quality on this phone is really solid. Great screen and great sound to enjoy your content. By the way, the fingerprint reader is built into the display and works flawlessly. Though really, whether you use the fingerprint reader or face unlock, both are incredibly fast. In terms of performance, this phone comes equipped with a MediaTek Dimensity 7300 5G processor, 8 GB of RAM, and 256 GB of storage. With these specs, it scored 698,000 points in the Antutu benchmark. Just shy of 7 new K. Trust me, with this hardware you won't have any problems running your apps. Everyday apps like social media, banking, maps, and all that run extremely smoothly. And combined with the 144Hz screen, it gives you the feeling that everything is running on rails super fluid. With this performance, it's definitely also suitable for gaming, and in fact, the phone has an app called X Arena, which is like a game center. You can add your games there and adjust some performance settings. It even includes special features like a voice modulator in case you want to sound like someone else in online games. As for gaming performance, I started by testing an off-road video game with graphics set to max, and it ran incredibly well locked at 60 frames per second. That's impressive considering it's a graphically demanding game and not very optimized. Since it's fairly new, but it still worked great. PUBG only allowed HDR graphics with the frame rate set to ultra, and with that configuration, there was absolutely no lag. The visuals looked stunning. I set Genshin Impact to maximum graphics and 60 FPS. If you stood still, the game would stabilize at around 58 or 57 FPS, but once you started moving or entered areas with more characters, it would drop to about 50, yet it still looked quite smooth. I guess in more chaotic battles filled with characters, you might experience more noticeable frame drops, but remember I had it on ultra graphics. You still have a lot of room to lower settings and get it stable at 60 FPS. Honestly, it ran really well. Call of Duty allowed 2 main settings: maximum graphic quality and very high frame rate, which means 60 FPS. With that combo, it stayed locked at 60 FPS with no issues. However, considering we have a 144Hz screen, if you really want to take advantage of that, you'd need to set the graphics to very low and the frame rate to max. With that setup, It stayed at 89 FPS and didn't go any higher. Personally, I'd rather play at 60 FPS with max graphics. The last game I tested was a PlayStation 2 emulator with God of War 2, and it ran perfectly at 50 FPS. There were a few small frame drops during intense camera movement, but they were barely noticeable. If you turned off the frame limiter, it could even reach 60 to 70 FPS. I could still increase the graphics, get more out of it with better visuals. Definitely a game that runs 10 out of 10 in terms of performance. An important part of Infinix phones is their operating system, as Infinix puts a lot of love into its devices. This device comes loaded with Android 15, and I won't lie to you, the phone is full of bloatware apps that you'll probably never use in your life. But it's also packed with artificial intelligence, and many of those AI features are actually useful, whether for work or school. If you go into settings, you'll find an option called Infinix AI, starting with the first feature, Folax. Folax is Infinix's assistant, kind of like Siri or Google Assistant, but the powerful part is that this assistant is backed by real AI, like ChatGPT. More specifically, it uses one called DeepSeek, which basically works like ChatGPT. Best part is, Folax can control your phone and many of its features. It can even see what's on your screen. So with these options, you can ask Folax, for example, to make a setting change, take a screenshot, switch from dark mode to light mode, or if you're viewing something on screen, you can ask Folax to summarize it, give you the key points, translate it, or even write an essay about what's on the screen. It can practically do your homework. The second feature is for calls, and there are 3 options. The first is live call translation, for example. If you're speaking Spanish and the other person speaks English, the call can be translated in real time. You speak in your language, and the AI translates it for the listener, and vice versa. Pretty cool. The second option lets you record your calls and then ask Folax what was said, the key points, or when your appointment is, whatever you need. And the third feature, which I found super interesting, is that you can have an assistant answer your calls. The other person will literally be talking to an AI assistant that gives them information like if you're busy, that you'll call later, or even lets them leave a message with your virtual assistant. That's next level stuff. There are also options to translate text on the screen. Just swipe with 2 fingers and it will auto-translate. If you have a PDF or Excel document, you can upload it, and Folax will analyze it and give you important info, or even write a summary in the artistic area. There's also AI support. You can sketch some things, and then convert it to AI-generated art. You draw whatever you want, and choose from different styles to do the conversion. So whether you sketch a tree, a little truck, an anime girl, or anything else, it works really well. You also have an option to create AI wallpapers, either by typing in text and generating a random image, or by taking a photo and transforming it into a different style. There are several preset styles you can use to turn any photo into a new look. The results actually come out pretty good. If you take a photo and want to erase something from it, you can use the AI Magic Eraser. Sometimes it works great, sometimes not so much, depending on the image. If you thought that being a cheap phone meant it would have bad cameras, the truth is it doesn't. The main sensor is a 64-megapixel Sony IMX682, and the front camera is just 13 megapixels. With either camera, you can take high-quality photos and videos. It's powered by AI, which helps optimize many of your shots. The camera app also includes a bunch of other features that let you unleash your creative side. Are templates for pre-edited videos, AI tools, some augmented reality options, and many other interesting functions. With the main camera, you can record in full HD at up to 60 frames per second, or in 4000 at 30 frames per second. And if you shoot in slow motion, up to 120 frames per second. Decent cameras. In terms of connectivity, we have GPS, NFC 4-card payments, Bluetooth 5.4, 5 GHz Wi-Fi, and the most important topic of all mobile networks, has 5G and supports dual SIM. For the battery, we get 5,200 mAh, which is more than enough to get you through the day, 45-watt fast charging. And smart charging options, like limiting the maximum charge to 80% or switching to slow charging instead of ultra-fast. It also offers 10-watt reverse charging in case you want to power another device with your phone. And one feature I really like on these Infinix phones is that if you're gaming while charging, instead of charging the battery, the charger directly powers the phone. This prevents the battery from constantly charging and discharging while you play, just like laptops, where you can remove the battery and still use the device as long as it's plugged in. And that's everything about this device. Definitely a great purchase option, a very well-balanced phone. But as I always say, in the end, the final word is yours. Let me know in the comments what you think, how you'd use it, or if you'd like to have it or not. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, see you next time.